It's just a fast video on a water leak I obtained on this car, a 1999 Sebring. There's a pipe here. I don't know if you can see that. It's a crossover inlet pipe. I think it's like $45 plus shipping, and it goes from the water pump to water manifold on the other side. You have to take the intake manifold off, and you can see there's on the intake manifold there's 8 bolts. There's also 4 bolts for the fuel rail. You can move that out of the side. There's this housing. There's I know these are the bolts for the lower intake, and actually there's 8 of them. You can see these washers. They're actually just all stuck together. They don't come apart. It's not that hard to do, but power steering bracket comes off. I put it all everything and label it so don't lose the parts. And I'm going to see how hard it is to take this thing out, which looks like there was something living in here a while back, which was a pile of acorns, and it looks like it was leaking right from this spot right here. I thought it was for the water pump for a second, but it wasn't. So anyway, I'll piece this together with another one. Every time I do something on this car, I'm going to post a video on it. Alright. Okay, this is the old manifold, and I don't know if you could see this, but right here I think that it was a hairline crack where it was leaking from. So by the way, this part is $70 from the dealer, and you could probably get a used one, but who knows how long it'll last. The O-rings don't come with it. I wind up reusing the O-rings, and I'm going to use this super weather strip adhesive on that to make sure they shouldn't leak. They shouldn't leak even without it, because you usually can reuse O-rings anyway, but with this stuff, coating of that should be okay. Instead of using gaskets, I like using this stuff, the RTV, and that's the ultra copper high temperature. This is the water manifold that goes on the opposite side of the pipe here. This is this part here is bolted into the block. This part here, I think it's like a 10mm bolt. I'm not sure if 10mm is a small bolt, but don't over tighten anything. Always use anti-seize when you're putting bolts into aluminum. So this is where your thermostat goes, and that goes to your bottom hose, and this is the water inlet, and that goes to your top hose. Okay. As far as in here, again, this is your thermostat housing for the bottom hose, and you can see where the pipe is in there. I'm definitely hoping it's just a hairline crack in this pipe and not something in a block. It looked like it was leaking out of the pipe. It was very difficult to see. Just to point out a couple things. Here's the connections for the distributor. Okay. You got 2 connections. This squeezes together to come apart. This I think it's a 2-prong connection. It squeezes together. This actually, the connector broke. This is old stuff. It gets brittle after a while. I actually didn't break it per se, but this is a 99 car. But what I do is I put a little bit of adhesive on here when I put it back together, so it holds it in place. It doesn't have a problem. Now on top of your manifold, I'm pretty sure this is your coolant sensor. You ever have to change that? And this sits in the car just like this. Okay? Just like that. And it connects up with that pipe. This part will, right there, will connect up with that pipe. And it goes bolts to the block. And I'm just going to use RTV on this. But also I'm going to point out, I took out the TCM transmission control module. That's just an 8mm bolt that my can just dropped. You can see the 8mm bolt right in the center there. That takes out the harness. And there's a couple small screws that go, one here and one on this side, and that comes out. That enables you to take, I had to take out the pipe that goes to the EGR, to the intake manifold, and you really can't get at a lot of this stuff. If you're changing out anything like the EGR, not anything, but I mean the EGR, or maybe you're taking out even a hose or something like that, and you're having some problem getting your hand in there, or you're working on the crankshaft sensor, which is way down there. It should be, yeah, it should be way down there. You can see it pretty good. Right down here, that's your crankshaft sensor. Okay, that's a 10mm bolt. You can see this stuff no problem when everything's out of the car, but you don't need to take the distributor out to get to the crankshaft sensor. But when you're sticking your arm way down in here, taking this TCM out gives you a lot more room, and it's not hard to do. Don't be afraid to take it out. That gives you a lot more room to do a lot more things on this car. And when, like a lot of people say, there's no room, but this thing kind of blocks doing a lot of little things. The EGR, like I said, the crankshaft sensor. Sometimes when you're trying to work on a hose or something, or just reach something, this thing is only 2 little screw bolts that hold the TCM on itself, and there's that one, I think it's an 8mm bolt right in the center of the harness, right there. And you just take that out, and the harness comes out. So it's 3 bolts, very simple. Anyway, hopefully this comes together. I'll piece it together with another flick and see how it all comes out.